There we go. The fundraiser is back. All right, yes, fundraiser is back. This is hour 2 of the Innocence Project fundraiser live stream. We raised $40 in the first hour, but it's not reflected here in the second hour because Instagram puts a limit on lives and they shouldn't do that. Instagram just saying you need to change that. You need to let us do unlimited live streams without having to put breaks on. So I'm gonna try to get Kay to join so we can finish our get Aaron Palmer on here to entertain you guys for a little bit. Sorry, it's getting hot here. Whew, okay. So another reason I want people to watch the Innocence Files is because it really, like, just hearing the the inmates, their families talk about how like so like pretty much all of the wrongfully convicted people, like the parents, friends, family would all talk about them, and they're like, oh, they're such a good boy, never did anything wrong, good gentleman. Like they were all like really good people. It's like they would never do this. So that's why it kind of hurts even more. Like just breaks my heart even more. They're like, I never, like Kennedy was like, I've never even gotten a parking ticket. Like, and then just like hearing the kind of helplessness in their voice. And then when he was reading the letter that he wrote to the Innocence Project, I was like, oh my God, like, it just breaks my heart. And I mean, I'm glad that they're out, but
But don't you think it was interesting that that Justin Justin Albert Johnson was in the initial lineup of the 12 guys. Remember they showed all the pictures and everything. He had already been convicted of breaking into somebody's house and a sexual assault when Courtney was murdered, right? Then later on they found that he had done it again on adult females, but still. The kicker was that they forgot about him and they honed into Levon because of the bite mark analysis. You know what I'm saying? Like that, I think if people remember anything, they need to remember that's one of the top platforms that the Innocence Project works on, and that is forensic science and the problems and solutions that come with that faulty science.
yeah.
And how it's just a larger, it just goes across so many different genres. Yeah. So they say the faulty forensic science contributes to nearly half of wrongful convictions, 45%. So when it comes to exonerations cases, 45% of those are in faulty science. It's from that crazy hair analysis. It's from bite mark analysis. It's from, remember the guy said, I think he not only did bite mark analysis, but he also did like bullet ricochet, like the bullet analysis. That's faulty science as well. So you guys need to know, like when you're donating money, it's going to find out real actual science that's reputable, like DNA, and pushing for those type of sciences and pushing out all faulty sciences. So we really appreciate your donations because that's what it's helping with. And now you're educated, because I didn't know this 2 months ago.
Mm-hmm. And the Innocence Project, they get, I think, like 4,000 letters a year, like around 4,000 letters a year, like requests, and they can only work on, I think, like 1%.
1%.
So that's why they need our help. Like they represent people for free too. So that's what these donations go for, because they wouldn't be able to do this work without that. But unfortunately, sadly, Levon Brooks, he passed away. He got sick after he was released. And so I just wanted to, first of all, I want to share this picture of him. I love it. It's so sweet. It's a picture of him. He's like holding a little baby duck. And oh my God, he's just such a good man. So I just saw this kind of little article on the Innocence Project on the Innocence Project website about LaVon, and it's called "The Life and Legacy of LaVon Brooks." So I kind of want to read it. I will try not to take too long. It's not that long. Just because I want people to see them as people, okay? Not just like, oh, they just hear about them all are just criminals. Like, no, like all of them were really good people. And so I'm just going to read it. The Life and Legacy of LaVon Brooks. LaVon Brooks died on January 24th, 2018, 5 years after being diagnosed with colon cancer and just 10 years after being exonerated. Today, he would have turned 61. Those who knew Brooks, or Ty T as his friends called him, remember a kind, selfless spirit, a loving father, friend, husband, an uncle, a cook, an artist, a man who managed to find all the joy he could in life despite nearly 2 decades, 20, of wrongful imprisonment for crimes he didn't commit. Brooks' story of injustice is told in the documentary series The Innocence Files, but Brooks was so much more than the injustice done unto him. He was a very nice and lovable person. Gloria Williams, Brooks' niece, told the Innocence Project. He was the type of person that you would have wanted to meet. I enjoyed all my days that we spent together, from the first till the last. Brooks was born on June 5th, 1959 in Macon, Mississippi, a small city less than 2 square miles with a long, devastating history of racial inequality, including the lynching of black residents by white ones. At the time of his arrest, 31-year-old Brooks was working at a local club in Macon called Larry's Disco. He was the go-to guy, bouncer, cook, parking attendant, whatever was needed at the time. Brooks had also just learned that he was about to have his first child. During his wrongful incarceration, Brooks continued to work as a cook in the prison. He also drew greeting cards, which he sent to family members and sold to prison staff to give to their relatives. So I'm just going to show some of those pictures because I love his greeting cards. Like, I don't know if you can see, but that's a little doggy that he drew. It's a couple. And then he drew this cat and this beautiful flower in the heart. He was a really good artist. After his exoneration in 2008, Brooks spent a lot of time outdoors, fishing, raising chickens, rabbits, and quail, and tending to his vegetable garden. He soon met a woman named Dina at a nightclub. The two built a small restaurant behind their house where friends would come over to eat, enjoy each other's company, and watch sports. And in 2016, they were married there. I can't imagine my life if I hadn't met LaVon, Dina told the local paper in 2018. I already know that I'll never find another man like LaVon. When he was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, he was trying to calm me down and assure me everything was going to be all right. He'd have some bad days like anybody else, but he kept his spirits up. And up until just a couple of months before he passed, LaVon was always outside doing stuff. So this is Dina and LaVon. Look at how sweet. Oh my gosh. So sweet. Dina said her husband was outgoing, loved to be around people, and read the Bible daily. She said he was not bitter about his wrongful imprisonment. I've got a choice. Either live my life hating the people responsible for convicting me or be an example of God's blessings. I don't believe in hate, Dina recalled Brooks saying. One of the most important people in his life was his dad. He used to say that he always wanted to be around his father since he was a small boy and would rush to him after school, accompany and help his dad work at the plantation. Richard was in charge of the dairy, and he and LaVon would round them up by horse. I knew all along my boy didn't do it, Brooks' father told reporters after his son passed away. Anybody will tell you he's not capable of doing something like that. Every time I lay my head down, I see my son. I don't know when it will stop. I'm not sure it ever will, he said. So I just want to show this picture of Levon and his dad.
Oh, Sarah, big little pat, little pat on.
Yeah, actually, he's on the show, so if you watch it, like, he's such a sweetheart. The impact Brooks on the lives of those around him is undeniable, and those who loved him still feel his presence strongly. He will always have a special place in my heart, his niece Gloria Williams said. I get up in the morning and speak to him like he's still there. I guess I just got to keep the memory alive. So, we love you, Levon. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You know what's also interesting is Courtney's mom. They asked her in court, and she said he didn't think that it was possible that he could do that he was capable of that crime. Yeah, so she never believed him either, and she only had good stuff to say about him. You know?
Yeah. Okay, so now that we talked about this, we're gonna bring on some music for you guys, just because we need it right now. We just need some lightness. And Kay will be back with us in a bit. All right. So I'm gonna try to bring on. Oh, there he is. Aaron Palmer to share his musical stylings. He's should be on soon. Hello, Aaron.
Hey.
Thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you so much for
Sorry,
taking
let
the
me
time.
just, make sure that my phone's not going to just fall out from under me. I know how to do this. Okay.
So I'm gonna let you play, and then I'll talk to you after. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
I like what's going on. I'm gonna try to. My lighting is very not professional in this case, but I'm gonna do. You said I had two, so actually, first thing I want to do is like test the audio to see if it's if my singing needs to be louder or my guitar needs to be quieter or if it's fine. Just let me know because I have no clue how to gauge it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You will see we've had nothing in common, coming around to start from. We're falling. It's all good?
Yes.
Vocals and guitars good? Okay, great. All right, so first I'm going to do an original. For those of you who don't know, my band is at the official Fathom shameless plug in comments right there. Wrote this song with a friend of mine. Actually, my friend just won this TV show called The Bachelor, Listen to Your Heart. His name is Chris Watson. But wrote the song with his assistants. It's called Soul Fenestration. Here we go. Oh no, that girl's at it again, talking to all of her friends about a new connection. Whoa, she party every night, her chakra lining up right, got me in deep reflection. Oh, but it's the way she shakes her hair, breaks off her Ray-Bans for a stare. Where she points her toes, the wind blows, and her eyes are truly windows. Girls got soul fenestration, feeling that total speculation. My eyes go on vacation, but I can't breathe, no ventilation. Girls got soul fenestration, feeling that touch sensation. Spirited levitation got me high, I'm carried away, she's got me out of my mind. Baby, come on, that beauty taking her time, like back and sipping her wine, don't need to be coded, no. Yeah, what she put on her floor, she got her ebb and her flow, that got me overloaded, whoa. But it's the way she shakes her hair, takes off her Ray-Bans for a stare. When she points her toes, the wind blows, and her eyes are truly windows. dancing toes, girls got soul fenestration, feeling that touch sensation, spirited levitation's got me high and carried away. Girls got soul fenestration, venomous, no speculation. My eyes go on vacation, but I can't breathe, no ventilation, out of my mind. Oh, but it's the way she shakes her hair, takes off her Ray-Bans, her stare. Where she points her toes, the wind blows, and if eyes are truly windows, girls got soul fenestration, venomous, no speculation. My eyes go on vacation, but I can't breathe, no ventilation. Girls got soul fenestration, feeling that touch sensation, spirited levitation, got me high, I'm carried away, she got me out of my mind. Oh, she got me out of my mind. She got me out of my mind. She got me out of my mind. Okay. So, that one's called Soul Fenestration. And you can check out my band at The Official Fathom.
Thank you for the hearts.
Maybe let's talk a little, and then we'll go into a second song. I don't know what my time slot is. You said 2 songs. I could do 2. It's fine.
Okay, sure. So how's everything? You're in Chicago, right?
I am. I'll be back in LA next weekend. Just kind of itching to get back. Chicago is, from a COVID standpoint, safer. And actually, I haven't stepped foot in the city of Chicago, like downtown, at all during when I've been home. I've been in the suburbs with my parents, and then kind of out of the downtown area. Currently, I'm at my brother's place. But yeah, I've avoided major cities, and whoever donated, thanks for the donation. By the way, for those of you seeing the donation total right now, it doesn't factor in the previous iterations we've had since
I think we had
Instagram
40.
Live only allows you an hour. So it cut out after an hour, and there were donations before that.
Yeah, so shout out to Bro Hamas who donated right now. Yeah, thank you.
So yeah, it's been chill. I've been largely out of sonic range and out of like contagion range of anything that's been going on. I've obviously seen everything going on the news and on social media, but from like I haven't heard a single protester, and I would say I'd be out there, but having been living with my parents for the past 3 months, just in quarantine, can't risk it. So, I support the, defunding the police to rehabilitate disadvantaged communities. I support what's going on with the Innocence Project. It's so tragic, some of these stories, people getting wrongly convicted and spending like either their whole lives or a good portion of their lives. Like, can you imagine having been put into prison in 2000 and coming out in 2020, knowing that you never did anything wrong? Like, how much the world has changed even in the past 20 years. It's like, it's worse than it was in like Shawshank Redemption, right? Where Morgan Freeman gets let out of prison and there's like cars on the road and he's like, what's going on? Like, the last 20 years for us has been insane.
Yeah. I wonder for them, like, how they feel. They're like, with cell phones, they're like, what's that?
The
What's
internet,
Twitter?
like, I was learning about what Google was back in 2000. Like, it wasn't the go-to tool. Like, vocabulary has changed. Like, obviously there's electric cars. Like, I think things are so different. Yeah, cell phones, obviously, Bluetooth communication. You see people walking down the street seemingly talking to themselves.
Yeah.
No, Bluetooth headphones, right? So aside from, you know, people being wrongly convicted and being released as they should, I think there needs to be like an effort to reintroduce them to like the modern world, if need be, you know, depending on how long they've been in prison.
Mm-hmm. And I just, you said you haven't been to any protests or anything, which is understandable. You know, because of COVID, I don't want people to like feel like bad for not being able to go because I understand that, you know, this is going on, and I feel like no matter what, even if you can't be in a protest, even if like, as long as you're like doing something like at home, like getting educated or spreading the word or so, as you're doing something, you're helping. I just don't want people to think that like protest, not you specifically, but other people like that protesting is the only thing you can do. Like, and I feel like there's not really like there's no like if you're protesting but you're not educating yourself, I feel like educate yourself too. Like if you're protesting, that way if you talk to people when you're out there, you are able to kind of talk to them in an educated way.
I agree. And it really is a shame. I mean, this pandemic just sucks. And the US in specific is not handling it well. I don't even want to get into like this Tulsa rally that's going on, but like, let's say pre-rally, the US was just not handling it well. And to have this movement going on, this social and political movement in the Black Lives Matter community going on with huge protests while this pandemic is going on. I mean, nobody wins. It's hard. It's hard.
But I feel like, you know, you can't really wait. Oh, let's wait for this to be over. It's just like it's like
You're right.
we're just tired of this happening over and over again. It's just like we just I feel like every week you always hear about stuff like this happening, and it's like, who cares if there's that's how like angry people are. They're like, I don't even care about this pandemic now. Like I just like we need change now. We can't wait. And I'm glad that, you know, there's progress. Like I mean it's hard to keep up with everything on the news. Like, you know, a little bit of change here, a little bit of change here, and I'm like, okay, cool, it's working. Keep up the pressure, don't stop. You know, but like yeah, protesting is not the only thing you can do. You can still be safe at home, do other things. Brohama said, if you can't protest, donate. Yes, exactly. That is something else you can do. So don't feel, not you, Aaron, but just like people don't feel like protesting is the only thing you can do. So.
Right. But anyway, thank you for organizing this, and I'm honored to be part of it.
Thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. So you're going to perform another song?
Yeah. I just learned this one within the last 2 days just because I felt like it's an appropriate time. I mean, it's always an appropriate time to play the song. But especially now with all the shit that is going on in this world, this song is particularly relevant. Okay. Imagine there's no heaven. It's easy if you try. No hell below us. Above us only sky. Imagine all the people living for today. Imagine there's no country hard to do. Nothing to kill or die for. No religion to imagine all the people living life in peace. Yeah, you may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one. Imagine no possession. I wonder if you can. No need for greed or hunger. Brotherhood of man. Imagine all the people sharing all the world. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. I hope someday you'll join us. Whoa, and the world will live as one. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one.
Oh no, what happened? Somebody. Oh shoot. What happened? Oh. I think
So my low battery sign came on in the middle. Did it pause the stream?
it paused you for a little bit.
Fuck.
But it's okay. We heard most of it. Thank you so much.
Do the last chorus again. You may say I'm a dreamer, but I'm not the only one. Someday you'll join us, and the world will live as one.
Yeah. Oh, it shows in reverse. Love. Stop hate. Go love. Never
All
mind.
right.
So thank you
Low
so much
battery.
for playing for us. Anything
Thanks
else you
for
would like to
having me.
say? Oh, sorry.
I saw some of Kay's segment. I saw Marco's segment. Good stuff, all of you. And Anais, thank you for hosting this. Hope everything's all right in Miami. And again, thanks for hosting this. Stay safe.
You too. Thank you so much for taking the time. I appreciate it.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye. Everyone follow him. Okay, I'm gonna try to bring on Magic. Let's see if he's still on. And I'm so sorry, Magic. I think I might have switched the order a little bit. I really, really apologize. Magic is also on the West Coast. Got a lot of people on the West Coast because I just moved from there. So, hi.
Hello, hello, hello. How you doing?
Hi, how are you? I'm sorry. I think I accidentally confused the order of people, but I'm glad you're still here.
You wanna switch? I can wait.
No, 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 no.
Oh,
No,
okay,
I'm
okay.
here now.
All right, that's cool. Man, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm good, I'm good. It's been a
If
busy few
anyone,
days.
please go follow Magic on Instagram. He's been, he's in LA. Just a little intro. He's let's see, actor, comedian, producer. What other stuff do you do?
Right, these days, activism, mental health,
Mm-hmm.
Civil rights. Like I was just doing a speech yesterday at City Hall, which very random. Is like a day. The day before, I was just asked to do it, so I was like, all right, let's do it. That was surreal. And
Oh, well, is it on your Instagram? I haven't had time to go look, but is it on
yeah,
there?
yeah. There's parts of it on Instagram.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
Mm, yeah.
So, how active have you been out? I mean, not that you're like not active, but how I have seen that you've been out in the protests. Like, how often have you been going out there?
Uh, Fairly frequently, I try to kind of create a routine so I don't burn myself out. Because like I heard you saying earlier, um, you can't go you can't go to every protest. You can't just protest. That's what you said. And that's so important because like protesting is such an energy based, and it doesn't sustain. So it's like over time, it has to go to the books. You have to read, you have to mobilize, you have to get your crew together. It's about the longevity of it. So it's like it's so important to create habits of hey, let's meet every Friday and go over who we're gonna vote for. Let's meet up
Yeah.
every Friday and go over the local election. It's like it's all about the consistency, past the marching, because it's like that's what the system is designed to be able to stall that out. Like it's like it's not just going to change if we're just marching. It's like you need the lawyers, you need the professionals in and out of the system. Like, and that's what the Innocence Project is so important because you have legal minds working in the systems that are for the people that are in the community suffering from an archaic system.
Yeah, and there's so many things you can do, and I forgot there was another, like my friend Wilson, he mentioned it on another live stream that he was on. He was telling people like join groups, like any local like groups that, Black Lives Matter, or like there was another one for like non-Black people that kind of like supports
Uh,
Black lives. So do you know of any groups for anyone in LA that maybe you suggest that they join?
I mean, there's Black Lives Matter, and I would say like I'm with NAMI right now for mental health. That's my
Mm-hmm.
primary focus, and and then there's specific issues in the Black community that I focus on, and mental health encapsulates all that. And I feel like even with prison, and we're just talking about prison, then when you have these people that come out and they are innocent, and they serve so much time, it's like they're coming out with depression, anxiety, PTSD. They're going to have anger issues as they think back to all the time they lost. And it's like um, there's no justice for them. And it's like they just kind of get thrown out with an apology. It's like no, there has to be some kind of like more than just a apology. You just broke, you just took this person's life. They may be still alive, but at some point they still have to be, oh shoot, they still have to be like taken care of. I'm sorry, hold
Oh
on.
yeah.
But they still have to be taken care of. And it's like if I always felt like if it's a system where someone has been proven innocent, is like how do you pay for every year they spend in jail? And how do you rehabilitate the mind that's been in jail, knowing in their heart of hearts they've been innocent the whole time? And it's like that is a form of like I remember in comedy the first thing you learn is um, to create comedy is the same person in the insane world or insane person in the sane world. And it's like, so if you're innocent and you've been taken to jail, like you are now like that same person in an insane system. And it's like, and how do you cope with that? Where it's like everybody's telling you you're guilty and you know you're innocent. It's like that plays so much on the mind. So by the time they get out, like they need something. They can't just be thrown out and be like, sorry. It's like that won't do it. Just like if we do something, if we do a crime as an individual, we get punished. So it's like the state and the government is like there have to be some kind of what's on their end. It's like you just put a person to jail with your outdated system. Now, what are you gonna do for that person? Like this is on you. No, we don't just get to say if I do something, I can't just say I'm sorry. Like I get punished. So it's like the criminal justice system. If you do something wrong, there has to be something. There has to be a penalty. You know, there has to be just like with police. Like we're fighting for people to be accountable. And it's like we shouldn't have to fight for that. Like that should be the system. So, and that's what makes it so, in a lot of ways, a farce. It's like, why are we fighting for a system that's supposed to be about the people? Like, how is this? It paints the picture of such a tone deaf system that it doesn't represent the people that it's supposed to be serving. And then we have no real representation in the system to rewrite laws that actually represent us.
So that's why it's another, voting is also another important thing that we all need to do. Really researching your candidates, even running yourself if you feel inspired to, make a change. So there's so many things that people can do and that need to just, they're just so much screwed up in this country. I talk about education, how education is also really important and that needs to be improved. And then, mental health is also very important. That's also something that's just like really needs to be worked on. Like, veterans, they come back from war. I feel like they could use some more help too.
And I've spent time in veteran hospitals. I had a friend pass away in the veteran hospital, and that was one of those epiphanies where going to the VA hospital and seeing how many broken bodies and broken minds in those hospitals, and how underkept they were. And it's like, these are men and women who fought for our country. And it's like, and then when they come back, there's this crappy place that looks like a clinic, that looks like people that, it's like a low income clinic. And it's like it's so badly underfunded, these veteran hospitals. And it's like, when you build these kids up, like it's a sales job, it's like you go to these low income communities, you tell the kid they can travel the world. Like I was pretty much a recruiter's LeBron James. Like I was recruited from 8th grade to like my junior year in high school. And it was just one dude, relentless, like, can I get your son? Can I get your son? And at one point I was going to the Army. Like I was the prototype. And that's what these men do, where it's like they build your head up, they tell you special, and you can travel the world if you just sign a dotted line. And then it's like, and if something happens to you out there, you come back, and now all that sales job it's gone, and it's just you with whatever ailments you have, whatever mental health struggles you have, and now your family has to deal with you now. And that's the whole thing. Is like, we have this country is so built on using people, we don't really focus on building people up, and that's something that we really have to be aware of how are we building people up, and who are we building up.
Yeah, that's one thing that just no disrespect to anyone who serves, obviously, because you're not the problem, but just I feel that's how I feel kind of about just they just want to use all these. That's how I feel too. I feel like they use these people, like, oh yeah, go fight for us, and like you fight for your country, but then they don't take care of them. Like when they come, like, okay, if we're gonna risk our lives and fight for our country, like take care of us, And I just feel like if I had a kid, I probably would not want them to join.
Yeah, and I have friends who are super proud, and I'm proud of them. It's like it's a future where if you decide you want to serve and that's been in your heart from day one, then God damn it, go serve. It's like that's great, that's special. But if you're a kid who just doubt themselves and they don't feel like they're worthy or they can do it, and then they think military is their only option, it's like that's what we want to change. It's like there's nothing against the people that they want to be in the army from day one. Like that's special, go do it. But it's the kids that don't want to be in the armed forces. They feel like it's their only option.
Yeah, and I feel like they take advantage of them. Like,
Exactly.
and
Yeah.
anytime I always tell people if you're in any situation and the person, whether it's in a relationship, a job, anything where they tell you, if you don't take this job, if you don't want to be with me, like you're like this is the only option. Like I'm always like run away from that situation. They're just trying to manipulate you. So I feel like they really take advantage of people when they kind of make them think that. So
Yeah, yeah. And then to bring it back to the prison system, it is I feel like the psychological effects. Like for me, I was coming up with a joke where it's like part of the reason why my name is Magic is because I tiptoed around the criminal justice system my whole life, and it's like, and that is a real feeling if you're a black male, where it's like if you make it my age and you have no record, like you are something, there's a lot of good fortune that happened that was out of my decision making. So it's like, because being a black male is a lot of, it really comes down to where I didn't go, where I didn't walk, what street I didn't go down, what party I didn't go to. It's like what ride I didn't take from a friend. It's like it's so many elements that involve luck, and I hate the idea that if you're black and brown and you're from a low income community, that part of you making it has a huge part to do with just good fortune. Like it's such a every day. It's like you feel like I was one of those. I didn't think I would make it past 18, and it's like and to know that so much was out of my control, that the reason I'm still here is in some ways disturbing. In some ways I feel guilty for the kids that didn't make it this far, and they ended up criminalized. Like I have so many cousins and uncles who were criminalized before, like when they were in their early teens, of little dirt bags of weed, and it's like you just created a criminal record from this kid figuring out life. And now they are a felon. Now they are who you said they were, but they weren't that when they were 13, when they were 12. It's like, so you ruined this life, and the blood is not on your hands. Like, it's like there's so much of that where you criminalize kids, and then you surprise when they turn into adults. And now they are who you said they were because they were trying to survive in the prison system you sent them to.
wow. And can I ask, were you like, are you from LA or where did you grow up?
Yeah. So I'm from South Central LA.
Oh, okay.
During the 80s. So I've been on the front line of seeing violence and just the whole gauntlet of abuse, of seeing, like, after riots. Like, I was there, my mom lost her job. She worked at like the oldest black bookstore, and it was burned down. And to see a whole city leveled as a child is like you see it, but it's not I think you see like for me it was how the rest of the world reacted. It's like because I remember walking. I say this all the time. But I remember walking down the street and looking up at the police station and seeing like the snipers pointed right at us. And at the time, I'm a little kid. I'm like, and those little things where it's like, this doesn't make sense. And that's where your co-host said before, it's like there's a dehumanization of the black person, of the black face, the black human, the being is not seen. It's not seen. And it's like almost like we're not human in a lot of ways. And it's in those moments you understand how dehumanized we've become. It's like where like your co-host says, like where a little 12-year-old boy can be shot off a big wheel playing, cops and robbers or whatever. It's like with his BB gun, it's like there's a problem. When a grown man jumps out of his car, out of his mind, who's wearing the badge, and shoots a kid in like 2 seconds. It's like there's a problem there. There's a disconnect between the actual person who he's seeing and the person that's actually there. You know, there's a delusional part of that, and I also believe there's a huge need of mental health in the police department because they're so overworked. And that's part of, I feel like with defund the police, part of that is a mental health element because you have 800,000 police all over the nation, and it's like they all have families, they all have connections, and it's exponential. So it's like we have to also understand that this system, it's so archaic that it puts everybody under pressure, and everybody's overworked. Like you have the social workers who get these cases for these kids, these foster homes, they're overworked. You got these police precincts, they're doing too much. Like they shouldn't be mental health experts, they shouldn't be medics, shouldn't be showing up when they shouldn't be showing up. It's like there's specific jobs that they should be doing, and their name should be brought back to being a peace officer. Like that's why that's the job they should be doing, being a peace officer, getting away from being a police officer. And that becomes, I feel like, the job of the people to make sure that that's the process we're going towards. Like there's no reason you should run into people's houses with kids and you got military grade weapons. It's like there's no reason for that. We got so much high quality technology. You should be able to use that and not break in some innocent person's house. And then also the inconsistency of when you break into somebody's house, that's what it's a break-in, and then it's like a lot of times like these police officers are going in, and it's like you have a case where an innocent woman gets shot while she's sleeping. It's like, how is that policing? How is that protecting and serving? How's that been a peace officer? And so I really feel like we have a collective work to it's kind of like I feel like it's like a insidious or a toxic time capsule that we all need to grab a shovel and dig that bitch up. It's like it's been buried in all of our subconsciouses for so long. It's like we know it, but we don't know it. It's like, and it wasn't until this pandemic that there's been a collective of like, oh shit, like we've been sleeping all this time. Like this, it's kind of like we've been sleepwalking and we've known all these problems, but it's like we're so caught up in our career and trying to make it and what is making it and I want a family. It's like we get caught up in our lifespan, and you have the normal. I'm a wild out. You have normal. I want to settle down. It's like all those things. I want to have a 401k. It's like so that and then that consumer culture and we've been bombarded with marketing and sensationalization, with media, and most of us Americans don't travel, so all we get is what we see from this entertainment media, and then it's like so there's this loop of baby feeding information that we don't see we don't see with our own eyes, and it's a lot of. I feel like it is easy to be overwhelmed if you don't pace yourself, and that's where it's like the marathon, you have to remind yourself, like you run it, you got to remind yourself you need nourishment. You need to, you need that time. You need to train. The training is the books. It's the people who, like, there's people who way smarter than me with financial literacy, with law, and spirituality, relationship, nutrition. And it's like, those are the people you lean on because we all have our weak spots. Like we all have our, like, I don't care how many finance classes I take, I'm not going to be good with money. So it's like, so I have to find somebody else to help me with that, like a tutor. So it's like, I feel like as adults, we still need to identify our weak spots, and we still need people that can tutor us in those weak spots and coach us in those weak spots. Because at the end of the day, it's like we have to be solid as far as taking care of ourselves, and checking our greed, checking our consumerism, checking our paranoia, and there's so much with self-development that allows you to lock into the community better, and create community. And I feel like a lot of mental health issues come from we've lost that sense of community. And I remember reading that in Time where they got so, we've gotten so far where we're all disjointed and we're all kind of all over the place that they've created these planned communities where they actually take a spot of land and they actually create it. It's like a adult dorm room kind of thing, and you share the kitchen. So I wouldn't say that extreme, but to that degree, we have to be more mindful of building community, because making that important actually makes us healthier. So the more we focus on community, the more we will get the career we want. We will make the living we want. We will have the kids we want. It's like the community is what makes us grounded in a more universal reality, rather than one we just create from what we're seeing from the media and what everything is telling us to buy.
Wow. That's beautiful. You beautifully said.
Thank you.
So I don't want to take up too much of your time, but can you just talk a little bit, maybe some of the conversations you've had? Have you had anything that kind of like sticks on your mind, or maybe somebody who was like, maybe an encounter with someone who's just like very ignorant or something? I don't know.
Well, one of the moments that changed me, actually before all of this, when the election was coming, and nobody really believed that 25 would get in office. And I remember I went up to a small town in California to work an event. And at that time, I was just so like in my bubble of oh yeah, it's obvious that you're going to vote for Hillary, even though she has her own issues, and you may feel whatever you feel for her, but it's obvious between the two. So in my mind, I'm just like, yeah, it's not even a debate. And then my friend circle, same thing. So it wasn't until I went to a lot of California, there's a lot of conservative places and pockets that people don't recognize. They're just like small towns in the Bible Belt. And so I drive out there and I'm working an event, and then just a random conversation, and somehow we get into talking about the election, which I really wasn't trying to do. I was trying to talk about solar water heaters and stuff. But and I realized I find myself defending why I'm voting for Hillary, and it's the first time I had to defend myself. And in my mind, I was like, wow, I thought this was obvious. And I had to realize, like, there's so many different realities that for this father and his son, this is their reality, that they see him in this light, and these are the attributes, and I have to, it's like I'm listening to them, and I can hear like their logic. This is what it is, and it's like, and being in that position where for the first time I had to defend something I thought was obvious really kind of shocked me. It really kind of woke me up, and it was like, oh shit. Like, this is the problem why when Americans don't travel, like even within our state, even within our nation, it's like it's a problem when we don't travel, because we get in our own bubbles and we just think that things are going to work out. We think that it's on somebody else to invest in the government. It's on somebody else to do what's right. And we forget, like, if we don't share why we think what we think, it's like we get a president like 25, and that's why it's so important to the grassroots, the consistency of pushing each other, of telling each other, like, yo, such and such is running for city council. What's her record look like? What's his record look like? Like, who's the next DA? I didn't even know the police chief until I saw how ignorant he was. You know, I was like, this is the dude representing LA, like this guy. Like, how can you say, it's like the if you are participating in looting and rioting, the blood of George Floyd is on your hands. Like, the idea that somebody in that position could fix their face and say that is like, we have a disconnect. And the disconnect is also on us, because like we've been lulled to sleep for so long that we let people like this go into office and we didn't even know he existed. Like, and that's a problem. Like, that's a problem that I have to also address to myself, where I didn't know who this man was until he said that. And he's in one of the most important positions in LA.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where we have to get better, and we can't just protest. We have to study. And it's like, it's okay to not know. Like, it's okay to ask your more friend that's more savvy in politics to bring you under their wing and just really help you. Like I said, it's like college. It's like you're gonna have things that you're gonna struggle with. Like, for me, I've always been interested in mental health for some reason. Like, that's been how the mind works has always been my passion. And for other people, it's been politics from day one. They love politics. It's like, so find that person that loves politics and that gets it, that understands why the Innocence Project is so important. Understand why Reform LA jails is so important. And that's where the community aspect is, to know where these nonprofits are, to know what they're doing, to how to identify the people that you want in office, how to identify, and they're more flushed out, like like the Innocence Project, like they started in 1992. So it's like, so they've been working before all this even happened. Before we got to this pandemic, they've been doing the work. So somebody like them, they can help get more of us who've been sleeping up to speed. And that's why I love this fundraiser, because like it also shines light on organizations that are where we need to be as a community, as individuals. It's like we learn from them. Like, you guys been doing the work. We need to learn from you guys. And that's so important, to find these people and then have them help us get up to speed.
I just like listening to you, just letting you talk the whole time. I'm running close to the second hour. But I just want to quickly kind of go over some of the comments. Michelle in LA, she brought up peoplesbudgetla.com. Do you know about that, Magic?
Peoplesbudgetla.com. I will look it up tonight.
Peoplesbudgetla.com. Check it out. Coalition has been working on things for a long time. And that Chief Moore has got to go. Jackie Lacey too. David Ryu, who is in District 4, needs to be replaced by Nithya. She's amazing. All right. So those are the comments. Awesome. Thank you for commenting. I appreciate it. Yes, just vote them all out. Look them all up. Vote them all out. Run if you feel inspired to, because we need people who are not corrupt and have a heart in office. So I guess I'm gonna have to let you go because the time is running out.
No worries.
Thank you so much for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Stay safe.
I will.
And follow Magic with 2 A's. Magic Collins. Bye. Yeah, Magic Man. I'm gonna write it in the comments before my time is out, and then we're gonna have to end it. Yeah, I have 30 seconds remaining. At Magic, Magic Man with 2 A's. So follow him, and I'm gonna come back with Kay, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Okay?